When my husband insisted that we divide my $30 million legacy with his mother, I couldn't help but laugh uncontrollably. When my father passed away, I believed the toughest challenge would be adjusting to life in his absence. The deepest sorrow struck from the one I had promised my forever to. I am Ella Carter. At 35, I once believed I was leading a life filled with fortune. I was married to Ryan, a man who seemed charming and kind, making me believe in the idea of forever at first glance. Our paths crossed 8 years ago at a conference in Chicago. I worked in event marketing and he was among the speakers. Self-assured, magnetic, inviting, or so I believed. I recall sharing with my dad about Ryan just a week after our paths crossed. He appeared unshakable. Father remarked during our morning meal. But Emma, do you recall? Some individuals radiate brilliance in the spotlight, yet fade away in the shadows of reality. I dismissed it back then. My father had always been my shield, especially after we lost Mom when I was 20, leaving just the two of us to navigate the world. He meant the world to me. My foundation, my guide, and the force behind Carter Holdings, the business he created from nothing and transformed into a $30 million success. Ryan and I tied the knot 2 years after our paths first crossed. The wedding was intimate, surrounded by only those who mattered most. My father guided me down the aisle, his eyes glistening with emotion and a beaming smile on his face. Diane, Ryan's mother, occupied the front row in a designer gown, her expression a steadfast scowl. From the very beginning, it was evident that I fell short of her expectations. She possesses strength. I caught her murmuring to Ryan during our rehearsal dinner. Yet she defies expectations. Yet I persevered. I sent flowers on a day meant for honoring mothers. She was welcome to family dinners. Yet Marcia never embraced me. And Ryan, he dismissed her words as if they were nothing more than trivial quirks. 6 years later, my dad's health had been deteriorating gradually, but the cancer advanced more swiftly than we anticipated. He passed away merely 4 months following the diagnosis, silently in his dreams. I felt shattered. It wasn't merely the loss of my sole parent that struck me, but the sheer abruptness of it all, leaving no room for readiness. The ceremony was dignified, resilient, all that he could have desired. Ryan offered some assistance, yet his focus appeared to be elsewhere, rather than on the sorrow at hand. Marcia arrived fashionably late, her sunglasses shielding her eyes, and slipped away before the service concluded. The morning following the funeral, a call came through from my father's attorney. He requested a meeting regarding the estate. I barely gave it a second thought. I was aware of Dad's achievements, yet I never inquired about the specifics. I envisioned a future filled with assets, investments, and the possibility of an early retirement. Instead, I discovered that my father had abandoned everything. All of it. For me. The organization. The assets. The narratives. Once the burdens of taxes, fees, and debts were lifted, the true worth emerged at just over the legacy. I recall looking at the attorney, my hands shaking with intensity. It felt surreal. That night, I sat on the couch, the legal documents laid out before me on the coffee table. I felt no desire to join in the festivities. I felt the weight of sorrow pressing down on me. The legacy felt like a burden. It served as a stark reminder of his absence. Ryan returned from work, eyed the papers, and let out a quiet whistle. Indeed, he acknowledged, taking a seat next to me. Truly belongs to you. I nodded with determination. I was taken aback by the extent of it. He smiled. Yet there was an unsettling undertone. His tone changed. It's time to discuss our next steps. Clearly, we will make an investment. Perhaps consider investing in that property in Aspen that caught your eye. And naturally, we need to determine the amount to offer Mom. I opened my eyes. Excuse me? Ryan regarded me with a hint of condescension. My mother. Marcia stands tall, her spirit unbroken, ready to reclaim her strength after the shadows of deceit and sorrow have passed. She is kin. We should give her what she deserves, correct? Halfway. I never imagined it would come to this. In that moment, everything shifted. Steely resolve, unwavering determination. My heart constricted. Ryan, this comes from my father's legacy. Why should we share anything with your mother? He smiled softly, as if I were someone lost in a world of simple truths, unaware of the deeper calculations at play. She is family, Emma. Having endured so much, she stands tall. She gave everything for me. She stood strong, facing the world by herself. It's only just. I found strength in laughter. I couldn't help but laugh out loud. Not due to the humor, but from the sheer disbelief of the words being spoken. He and his mother held no place in my father's heart. They circled like predators. And I was beginning to see the truth. And that was the moment everything began to shift. Ryan's demand to hand over half of my legacy to his mother hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I fixed my gaze on him, heart racing, questioning if I had misinterpreted his words. Yet, the expression on his face. His expression revealed everything. He meant it. Ryan, I spoke with intention. This money was left to me by my father. Not us. We will rise stronger. I stand tall. It's not a stroke of luck. It belongs to him. Her legacy. Why would we ever consider giving her half of it? His expression hardened as he leaned back, disbelief etched across his face. Emma, think of others. She is without a doubt part of our bloodline. She is my blood. I opened my eyes wide. Absolutely. Your strength. Not my own. She had no real connection to my father. She departed the memorial ahead of schedule. Not a single call from her to express regret for what I've endured. Ryan's voice cut through the air with a piercing edge. That's simply her essence. She struggles with expressing her feelings, yet her concern runs deep. Do you believe you're the only one who has experienced loss? What about my pain? Seeing my wife transform into someone consumed by ambition in an instant? Ambitious? That word struck me with a fierce intensity. I gasped, then fell silent. A chill washed over me unexpectedly. Just days after my father's burial, the man I once trusted, the one who cared for me in my weakest moments, was now hurling accusations of greed and demanding to share what was mine. A change was in the air. Perhaps the truth had finally come to light. I rose with determination. I require a breath of fresh air. As I stepped away, his words lingered in the air, a quiet disbelief echoing behind me. Sleep eluded me that night. I found myself haunted by his words, his tone, and the arrogance that dripped from them. It transcended mere financial matters. It revealed his lack of respect for my father, and his swift sense of entitlement to something he never contributed to. My dad used to say, sorrow doesn't alter who we are. It uncovers their true selves. Indeed, he had a point. The following morning, Ryan pretended as if everything was normal. He made coffee, brushed his lips against my cheek, and spoke lightly about the weather. I remained silent. Later that day, I got a call from Diane, Ryan's mother. Emma, darling, she purred, her tone dripping with false affection. Ryan shared the incredible news with me. Your strength is truly inspiring. Your father possessed great intelligence. A moment of stillness hung in the air. I stood there, fully aware of the impending storm. I understand this might feel a bit uncomfortable, but with your newfound wealth, I thought it would be a good idea for us to discuss some financial matters. I've got a few thoughts brewing. I'm considering opportunities, perhaps in real estate, looking for a new space just for me. Something subtle yet impactful. I clenched the phone tighter against my ear, fighting to keep my composure. Are you ready to discuss figures? Diane, I experienced a profound loss just days ago. My father is gone. She clicked her tongue, a sound laced with defiance. Absolutely, he would wish for you to prioritize family. That's what strong women do. A shift occurred within me. Diane, I must be clear. You do not hold a place in my heart as family does. You have no claim to any of this money. Your decision to raise this issue now reveals much about who you truly are. The stillness lingered on the line. Then a voice, icy and cutting, responded. You always believed you were above us. Let's see how you fare when you're left to face the world on your own, darling. She ended the call. I gazed at my phone in disbelief. My hands trembled with intensity. By dinner, Ryan had inexplicably learned about the call. He had lost all pretense. He confronted her, his voice steady. You had no right to speak to my mother like that. She was in no position to demand financial support. He shouted. She is my sole family, and I refuse to allow you to disrespect her simply because fortune has smiled upon you. I stared straight into his eyes. This isn't a stroke of luck, Ryan. It's a turning point. I lost my father. rather than standing by my side in this moment of loss. You and your mother are celebrating as if it were a windfall. Silence lingered in the air. His silence echoed with the weight of unspoken truths. In the days that followed, the situation deteriorated. Marcia began appearing at the house without warning. Once holding a binder filled with properties she believed we should acquire as partners. Once again, accompanied by an interior designer. Ryan never held her back. In truth, he spurred her on. She's just finding her strength, he'd say. Don't overreact. Intense? As I witnessed the slow unraveling of my marriage, he had the audacity to label me as dramatic. I started securing the office that housed the legal documents. I took control of my situation, securing my assets and seeking legal counsel once more, this time in confidence. I'm uncertain at the moment, I replied, but it's crucial for me to understand my rights. She nodded slowly. You're not the first to walk through these doors seeking what was left behind, but few arrive with such a watchful eye. I opened my eyes wide. Are there cameras? She leaned forward. Set them up. Now, particularly if you share your space with someone who believes they are entitled to a share of it all. The proposal sent shivers down my spine, yet I chose to heed his words. Just 2 days later, I found Marcia rummaging through my desk drawers. She had no intention of seeking out supplies. In that instant, I shifted from sorrow to strategy. Marcia stood unfazed as I discovered her rummaging through my desk drawers. Oh, Emma, she said with an air of nonchalance, as if she had merely been searching for a pen. I was simply looking for a notepad. Ryan mentioned you have some spares stashed away in here. Her hand lingered near the locked file drawer, the one concealing the legacy documents. I lingered in the doorway, fighting to maintain my composure. My heart was pounding, fueled not by fear, but by a fierce determination. When you find yourself in need again, I urged, don't hesitate to reach out. She smiled, a fierce glint in her eyes. Absolutely, my dear. Once she exited the room, I secured the drawer once more and reviewed the camera footage. Obvious and undeniable. She sifted through folders, tore open envelopes, scrutinized labels. She was on a quest for her strength. A heavy realization settled within me, and I braced for the truth I feared was coming. That night I faced Ryan head-on. Your mother visited my office today. She was determined to locate the legacy paperwork. Ryan remained unfazed. She was determined. The amount is substantial, Emma. Curiosity stirs within others. She crossed a line. He let out a heavy breath and massaged his temples, as if I were draining his energy. You're overthinking it. She didn't take anything that wasn't already hers. She won't take it, I stated firmly. She's attempting to control us into handing it over to her. Ryan rose to his feet. She stands strong, unwavering in her truth. She's determined to rise above. Honestly, you ought to appreciate that someone is approaching this situation with clarity and purpose. Your behavior resembles that of someone clinging to everything they have. I stood still. A collector? Ryan hesitated, a flicker of awareness crossing his face as he grasped the extent of his actions. That's not what I intended, he said hastily. You're holding everything inside, aren't you? That's not how families behave. A fierce resolve ignited within me. This is not a matter of family, I declared. It's about ambition and dominance. Since my father's passing, it feels like you've forgotten what it means to be my partner, and began to view me as a source of money. Ryan sneered and left the room in a fury. I chose my own path. I was unable to do so. I took a seat on the bed's edge, my heart racing, and let the tears flow. This time it's for me, not for my father. In that moment, clarity struck. My marriage had come to an end. I simply hadn't completed the paperwork yet. In the days that followed, I started to gather my strength in silence. I consulted with a financial advisor. I reached out to another attorney, one who focused on safeguarding assets and navigating high-stakes divorces. I began to carefully transfer funds into my personal account, ensuring that each transaction was above board and meticulously recorded. Yet I pressed on. Heeding the lawyer's counsel, I enhanced the security system, placed cameras at all entry points, and engaged a private investigator to quietly delve into Diane's financial background. His discovery was no shock to me. Mounting financial struggles, past setbacks, and a bold ambition to launch a luxury skincare line despite lacking resources. It's no surprise she was ready to fight back. Meanwhile, Ryan grew increasingly aloof, then unexpectedly warm. One night, he returned with flowers in hand. Once again he prepared the meal. "I've been reflecting," he spoke while we were seated at the table. "Perhaps we started this journey on shaky ground. It's been a challenging journey. Enduring the loss of your father, confronting the legacy, charting the course ahead." I observed him intently. He had abandoned the kitchen for more than a year. I left the wine untouched, a silent testament to my resolve. "What are you trying to convey?" I inquired with caution. She smiled. "It's time for a new beginning. Let go of the financial discussions. Let's embark on a journey. Us against the world. A place of solace." I looked at him, understanding the truth unfolding before me. This was not about making amends. It was a calculated move. He believed that by making me feel at ease and joyful, I would let my defenses down. He might think he can regain his power with his charm. Yet the moment had passed. "Text, I believe I'll decline the trip," I replied, maintaining a courteous smile. "I'm navigating a lot of challenges at work." She stood firm, unyielding in her resolve. Yet the spark in his gaze revealed his relentless determination. The following morning, I sensed an unusual shift in the air. My laptop was shifted. Only a slight shift, barely noticeable. The lid was barely ajar. I always close it off. I reviewed the login activity. It was clear that someone had attempted to breach my defenses, but they were met with failure twice. In the stillness of the night, the camera light suddenly ignited. Ryan, as expected, refused to acknowledge the truth. It must have been a mistake. She dismissed him with a wave of her hand. I chose silence instead. I took control once more, updating my passwords and following my lawyer's next steps. Collect proof. Everything. Record every detail. Indeed, I took that step. Each exchange. Every questionable action. Each effort to manipulate me into relinquishing my rightful legacy. I captured every moment. When the moment arrives, I will not merely turn my back. I will leave with undeniable evidence. And if Ryan believed he could manipulate me, he was about to discover the strength of the woman he chose. 3 days after Ryan's failed attempt to breach my laptop, he ceased all pretense. The facade had fallen away. He stopped bringing flowers and offering insincere apologies. He didn't attempt to enchant me or manipulate me with empty flattery. He lingered in the shadows, observing, enduring. It was as if he sensed the inevitable loss, powerless to halt the unfolding chaos. Diane, however, emerged with an intensity that was unmatched. One morning, I entered the kitchen to see her poised at the table, barefoot, robe slightly ajar, sipping my coffee with an air of undeniable ownership. She entered with determination, using the emergency key Ryan had promised to the dog walker. Emma stands tall. Her smile was laced with a deceptive charm. "It's time for a conversation." I fixed my gaze on her. "It's time for you to go." At this moment, she stood her ground. "I want to ensure you're not acting on a whim. You're facing immense pressure. It would be unfortunate for you to let your emotions lead to a financial misstep." I let out a harsh laugh. "Are you referring to an error such as withholding millions from a woman who hasn't been employed in 10 years while she labels me entitled when I'm not around?" Diane's gaze sharpened. "Watch yourself, Emma. Creating adversaries within your own sanctuary is a perilous choice." I leaned in just slightly, my voice steady and composed. "This place doesn't belong to you, nor does the wealth. Leave now, or I will have no choice but to involve the authorities." She rose with determination, her gaze fierce. "You believe you have it all figured out, but women like me? We rise stronger than you can imagine. Eventually you will break." I maintained my stare until she walked away. Once the door banged shut, I secured it with a firm lock. With resolve, I inhaled deeply and reached out to my lawyer. "The moment has come," I said to him. "I am ready to embrace what lies ahead." We started the process of filing for divorce. My attorney urged me to be calculated, discreet, and composed. I had strategically placed a significant portion of the legacy into a trust, safeguarded from any divorce claims, all thanks to my father's wisdom in structuring the assets. The remaining portion lay in my personal account, still considered shared assets, unless I took swift action. That night, I informed Ryan that I wished to meet at a cafe the following morning. Balanced space, open, managed. Though doubt lingered in his eyes, he nodded in agreement. I arrived early, taking my place at a corner table where I could see the door clearly. The divorce papers were tucked away in my bag, accompanied by a flash drive filled with undeniable proof, audio recordings, screenshots, and even a video of Marsh rummaging through my office. Ryan entered, 5 minutes behind schedule, his smile strained and unconvincing. "Hey, Em," he remarked nonchalantly. "What is this all about?" I took action without hesitation. I retrieved the envelope and pushed it across the table with determination. "What is this?" he inquired. "Legal documents of separation." Her expression hardened. She left the envelope untouched, a silent testament to her strength. "Is this some kind of joke?" "This is my declaration of finality." His laughter echoed, devoid of warmth or joy. "Are you for real? For the sake of money?" "Absolutely not," I replied. "From the ashes of disrespect. From the ashes of betrayal. Your disregard for my father's death is nothing but a ticket for your own gain." He let the smile fade away. "I stood by you, Emma. For years I stood by your side through the loss of your mother. I was there for you. So now that you've found success, am I just disposable to you?" "Absolutely not," I declared. "You discarded your own worth. The instant you chose to prioritize your mother over your wife." He struck the table with force. A handful of eyes glanced her way. "Do you believe you have the upper hand? You believe you can simply take it all and leave me behind? We are united in marriage. I will claim my rightful share in the divorce. That's the way it is." I smiled, sharp and calculated. "Indeed, not at all. The legacy stands as an independent asset. My attorney has verified it. It was a legacy from my father. Your claim holds no weight here. Not a single penny." He turned ashen. "You're pretending." I removed the flash drive and set it down on the table. Each dialogue, each deception, each effort to control me, recorded. Test me and I will ensure the truth is laid bare before the judge. He looked at the flash drive as if it were a deadly threat. "I propose a just resolution," I stated. "You seize what we rightfully created together. Nothing else. Or you can challenge me in court and end up with even less." Ryan reclined, his gaze empty and distant. "Do you honestly believe you can come out on top?" "I have already done that." Silence enveloped the moment. He rose, grabbed the envelope, and walked away. That night, I took control and secured my space. Once more, I had my attorney send Marcia a cease and desist letter. I severed all ties, cutting them out from every account, every contact, every connection. There was no turning back now. For the first time in weeks, I found solace in sleep. The boundary was set. And next came the reckoning. The day after I delivered the divorce papers to Ryan, an overwhelming stillness enveloped my home. And resilient. Light steps forward. The scent of Diane's perfume has vanished from the hallways. Enough with the pretense. Only tranquility. I stood in my kitchen with a hot cup of coffee, the sunlight streaming through the windows, illuminating my path forward. For the first time since my father's funeral, I felt a surge of strength instead of merely existing. It was as if I had found my breath once more. Yet tranquility was fleeting. 3 days later, Ryan attempted to reclaim his ground. I received a message from my attorney. Ryan had submitted his reply to the divorce petition, insisting on spousal support. He asserted that I had amassed wealth throughout our marriage and that his support of my emotional health granted him a right to financial compensation for his involvement. My fury ignited. Uplifted my spirit? The very man who attempted to coerce me into surrendering half of my legacy to his mother? The very man who stood idle while I faced my sorrow? It was a moment of vulnerability and despair. Yet, I remained composed. I was ready for this moment. We stood firm, presenting every shred of proof at our disposal. His violation of my personal space, the relentless attempts to breach my security, his mother's intrusive appearances, the recordings capturing his disdain for my sorrow, and most telling of all, the video of Marsh rummaging through my office. All documents have been submitted by my lawyer. And that was the moment the calls began. Obscured connections, unfamiliar profiles, messages from strangers. Yet deep down, I was aware it was Ryan. Or Diane, a force to be reckoned with. Or either. One voicemail echoed, "Emma, you're destroying it all. This is not the way families should behave. Reach out to me when you can." Another message ominously stated, "You'll regret this." Yet, I chose not to. I returned to my duties. I connected with friends. I began my journey of healing. I took my dog for morning walks, hit the gym, and enjoyed quiet moments in cafes with a book. Every little thing held the weight of liberation, each moment a step towards reclaiming strength. In the midst of it all, whispers reached me through our shared acquaintances that Ryan had returned to Diane, who, interestingly enough, had just faltered on a credit card payment. It seems they were negotiating with a dubious financial advisor regarding house flipping without any investment. Ryan decided to leave his job just a week after my father's passing, thinking he could rely on my legacy. Now he was left with nothing: no job, no home, no vehicle. Since the vehicle was registered under my father's company name, I took the necessary legal steps to have it repossessed. Everything was falling apart. Then arrived the ultimate strike. My lawyer told me that the judge had looked over the evidence and dismissed Ryan's claim for spousal support completely. "He won't see a dime of your legacy," my lawyer assured me, and the court recognizes his behavior as disrespectful actions and opportunistic. If he continues to press, we might consider seeking a restraining order. I smiled, a flicker of strength igniting within me. Let's hold on to that for now. Yet it was unnecessary for me. As Ryan began to crumble, one night he reached out to me from an unfamiliar number. I hesitated for a moment, but the pull of curiosity was too strong to resist. "Is that you, Emma?" He spoke, his voice trembling. "Listen to me, please." I remained silent. I stumbled. I understand that clearly now. I allowed my mother to influence my thoughts. I let my desires cloud my judgment, yet your absence lingers in my heart. Our connection lingers in my heart. I stood in silence, anticipating the moment of revelation. "This won't break me," he declared at last, his voice gaining strength. "After all the time I dedicated to you, you're walking away and leaving me empty-handed?" In that instant, clarity struck me. Ryan's feelings for me were never real. He cherished the notion of what I could offer him. Update. Strength. Empowerment. And when he understood that I was unyielding, fear took hold of him. "You left me with emptiness." I responded with composure. "And I owe you nothing at all." I ended the call. I cut off all communication. 2 weeks later, the final papers were signed. Refined. Resilient. My legal team safeguarded it all. My strength. My business holdings. The apartment left to me by my father. Ryan took what was rightfully his and left without looking back. A handful of savings and the remnants of her dignity still intact. Diane, as expected, attempted to take legal action against me for emotional distress. It was dismissed without a second thought. As the chaos subsides, I chose to honor my father's memory by donating part of my legacy to a cancer foundation. It felt empowering. A moment of profound transformation. This journey transcended the need for vengeance. No, not at all. It was about liberation. And now I stood unbound. 7 months have passed since the finalization of the divorce. 7 months have passed since I left that courthouse, decree in hand, and a subtle smile that declared my resolve to no longer give my worth to those who failed to appreciate it. The house remained under my control. Yet it lacked the same essence. Each space resonated with whispers of the past. Of closed chapters. Diane's voice cut through the silence with a fierce clarity. Of the man I believed would be my forever. I let it go. Not out of vengeance. Not even out of necessity. I simply yearned for release. The apartment my father gave me long ago, untouched and waiting in the heart of the city, stood as a testament to what was and what could be. I transformed it with inviting hues, expansive windows, and gentle areas. A new beginning unfolded. It seemed to belong to me. On that first night, I found myself alone yet secure, lighting a candle and taking my place by the window. I reflected on my father. Reflecting on the pride he would have felt. Not about the wealth. Not about the courtroom struggle. Yet there was a fire within me. He often said to me, "Emma, true strength isn't measured by volume. It's in the strength of your silent defiance." He was indeed correct. For a time following the separation, I found myself anticipating an unexpected turn of events. As if Ryan would return with yet another plan. Or Marcia would dispatch yet another letter via some mediocre attorney. Yet silence lingered. Only quietude. In time, I discovered through shared connections that Ryan had declared bankruptcy. Marcia found herself in a basement apartment, having shut down all her social media connections. Their fragile kingdom of arrogance had collapsed, unable to withstand the pressure of its own delusions. What about me? I was rising anew. Not from the beginning, but from honesty. I returned to work with a renewed sense of purpose. I dedicated a portion of my legacy to establish a scholarship honoring my father's legacy. For those embarking on the medical journey determined to uplift and empower neglected communities. My father had a strong conviction about the importance of generosity. And now even in his absence he still could. I began guiding young women in the realms of business and leadership. Countless others have faced the same trials I endured. Deceptive assistants masked in financial control. Deceit cloaked in affection. They were strong enough to stand on their own. They required a reminder that the power to choose was always theirs. It's quite ironic, actually. I believed that vengeance would bring me satisfaction. It simply did not. The relief of waking up free from worry was a true delight. Glancing at my phone with newfound strength. Embracing stillness and finding solace in the absence of chaos. The moment I gazed into the mirror and recognized my own reflection was undeniably sweet. Not the version Ryan sought to shape. Not the version Marcia attempted to undermine. Yet, I am the person my father shaped me to be. The version of myself that was nearly lost to time. One afternoon, I stumbled upon an old letter hidden within the pages of one of my dad's books. It was in his handwriting, marked from a time long before he was gone. Emma, if you find this, it signifies my absence. And I need you to hold on to this truth. Wealth uncovers true character. It doesn't alter their essence. It amplifies the strength that was always there. Never allow anyone to instill guilt in you for possessing what they believe is rightfully theirs. Reveal it when it's true affection. Stand strong in the face of adversity. When faced with a choice that compromises your serenity for someone else's satisfaction, always prioritize your own tranquility. Each time, I lingered over that letter for what felt like an eternity. And I wept. Not from suffering, but from liberation. In his absence, I discovered the strength he unknowingly bestowed upon me. A guiding force. A reminder that my clarity remains intact. I was right all along. Choosing myself was an act of strength. Now, when people inquire about the divorce, I choose not to mention the financial aspects, or the deceit, or even the treachery. I share this with them. I discovered that affection devoid of honor is merely ownership. Without limits, family becomes a whirlwind of disorder. I emerged stronger from my marriage. I transcended it. And the most profound triumph I achieved was finding my strength in silence without their acknowledgement. Here I stand, unyielding and resolute. Unyielding in her resolve, yet resilient. But now she speaks out.